English is the most widely used language in the world. English, as we know it today, is very different from its original Anglo-Saxon version. To understand how this came to be, we need to understand the evolution of the English language and the processes by which it transformed into English as we know it today. But before that, let us understand what is an Anglo-Saxon. The Anglo-Saxons were a cultural group who lived in England in the early Middle Ages. The various Anglo-Saxon groups settled in different areas of the country. They formed several kingdoms and constantly at war with one another. Where did they come from? The Anglo-Saxons were migrants from Northern Europe in the 5th and 6th centuries. From a divided kingdoms, the Anglo-Saxons were finally joined into a single political realm, the Kingdom of England. What language did they speak? The Anglo-Saxons spoke the language we now know as Old English, an ancestor of modern-day English. Before the coming of the Anglo-Saxons to England, the majority of the population of Britain spoke Celtic languages. The Celtic languages are a group of languages in the Indo-European family, including Germanic group. Germanic group contains Norse, Swedish, Dutch, German, and English. In Roman Britain, Latin had been in extensive use as the language of government and the military. The Anglo-Saxons were composed of 3 different Germanic people: the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. These 3 were the most powerful Germanic nations. The Anglo-Saxon period includes the creation of an English nation. Is the English language Anglo-Saxon? Anglo-Saxon is what is known as the Old English today. Old English developed from a set of Ingvaeonic dialect originally spoken by these 3 Germanic tribes: Angles, Saxons, and Jutes. Generally speaking, Anglo-Saxon is the direct descendant of modern English. How much of the English language is Anglo-Saxon? An Anglo-Saxon text is typically composed of 70% of words. In addition, the grammar is predominantly Anglo-Saxon. Romance and Latinate sources make up a large portion of the English vocabulary. Many of the British natives as well as Germanic tribes over time adopted Anglo-Saxon culture and language. Therefore, Anglo-Saxon identity was developed. The dialects and vocabulary of Germanic people and Anglo-Saxons who settled in Britain in the 5th century have influenced English today, which is constantly being influenced by a variety of different cultures and languages, including Latin, French, and Spanish. Briefly speaking, the English language was formed not from a single language but from a multi-languages. English is a language of mixed origins in terms of its vocabulary. English, like all other languages, is not a pure language. It is basically a mixture of other languages which has developed and formed over time. Old English, or Anglo-Saxon, is the great-great-grandparent of the modern-day English. And where does Old English come from? Let's go back to what has been discussed. English was called Englisk back then. To recall, the people who spoke English were the Angles, Saxons, and Jutes, or in short, Anglo-Saxons. These are the people who had a lot of influence to English language, but English has developed through the combination of Celtic languages or the Indo-European family and Germanic group that contains Norse, Swedish, Dutch, German, and English. Over the years, it has received considerable input from Latin, French, Greek, Spanish, as well as a great number of other languages. The expansion of the British Empire led to the spread English around the world and also brought into the language many new terms from foreign languages, giving rise to a number of variations of English such as British English and American English, with the largest number of native speakers. The other major varieties of English are Canadian English, Australian English, New Zealand English, South African English, and Indian English. From then on, more localized varieties of English have been emerging, especially in territories influenced by the United Kingdom or the USA. In 1984, Professor Braj B. Kachru formally introduced the term World Englishes at the Teachers of English to Speakers of Other Languages, or TESOL. Who is Professor Braj Kachru? He is an Indian linguist and the founding father of World Englishes. World Englishes, what are they? The diversity of varieties of English in the world is represented in the form of 3 concentric circles, an idea introduced by the linguist Braj Kachru. What are the 3 concentric circles? The 3 circles are inner, outer, and expanding circles. The inner circle is made up of countries in which English is the first language. These countries include Australia, Britain, Canada, Ireland, New Zealand, and United States, also called the core English-speaking countries. The outer circle denotes those countries where English is used as second language. This includes nations such as India, Bangladesh, Ghana, Kenya, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Philippines, Singapore, Sri Lanka, Tanzania, and Zambia. The expanding circle is made up of countries in which English is widely studied as a foreign language. Countries in the expanding circle include China, Egypt, Indonesia, Israel, Japan, Korea, Nepal, Saudi Arabia, Taiwan, Russia, Zimbabwe. You have just learned the different types of English. You may think they're all the same. After all, it's the same language. But actually, there are a few differences. The most obvious one is the pronunciation.
Hi, how are you doing? Good day, how are you doing?
Hi, how are you?
Can you tell where these people come from? It isn't just pronunciation that's different, but also spelling. Usually, British use extra letter to the spelling. British, program, American, program, British, color, American, color, British, favorite, American, favorite, British, labor, American, labor. Sometimes the British used different letter order too. British, meter, American, meter, British, sender, American, sender, British, fiber, American, fiber. But the major difference is the vocabulary that even the core English-speaking countries like Britain, America, and Australia can still get confused. Sometimes when they're talking, they use different words but mean one thing. Listen to this.
My mate and I went to the film last weekend.
My friend and I went to the movie last weekend.
Aside from spelling, pronunciation or accent, and vocabulary differences, another major difference between American, British, and Australian English is the intonation when asking questions. One's voice goes up at the end of a yes or no question with American English. Are you going to attend the party? But with the Australian and British English, one's voice goes down. Are you going to attend the party? You probably speak one type of English depending on what country you come from. Each English-speaking country, whether first language or second language, prefers one type of English depending on what colonial country influenced the nation they are in. For example, in our country, in the Philippines, we were colonized by Americans before, so the English language that we adopted in the Philippines is similar and related to American English. There is no wrong or right type of English because each type of English has already been accepted in the world's Englishes. Thank you so much guys for watching.